Welcome to Wedding BFF. My name is Kate Schmidt and I am your host. As a self-taught wedding planner and owner and chief planner for Celebrate by Kate, I am passionate about creating wedding days that are memorable and tangibly feel like the couple that is being celebrated. On this podcast, you will hear from myself and other guests tips on planning, mindfully creating a day that not only looks but feels good, and how to budget your way to the wedding day of your dreams. Now let's get to discussing your day, your way. Welcome, Allie and Collin, to Wedding BFF. We are super excited to have you today and talk about DIY weddings. I'm going to give them a brief intro and then give them plenty of questions to talk about their beautiful wedding day last September. All right. So not only did they get married last September, renovate a house, and now they're expecting a baby girl. As Allie said on social media, they have no chill. I have to agree with that. And they planned one hell of a wedding in 4 months too. So they are a force to be reckoned with. Allie owns a social media marketing company. She didn't add this to her bio, but she is a fashion lifestyle, specifically, I would say clean living influencer in Wisconsin. Collin works in data science by day and is a volunteer firefighter in his spare time. And their wedding vibe overall, a couple things about it. It was boho, it was rustic chic, it had backyard farm vibes. Their favorite part of wedding planning was Allie's favorite part was shopping for her dress, which I'm not surprised by, and figuring out the decor. They said they have many controversial wedding opinions to share. Not shocked by that, and I'm excited to hear them, but also it'll just be a fun conversation. One last thing, a fun fact is that Allie thinks that Collin actually did more of the wedding planning than her, which is kind of uncommon these days with how big weddings have become. So welcome, Allie and Collin. Welcome to Wedding BFF.
Thanks for having us.
We are so excited. Wonderful. So I'm just going to kick it off with some questions. Like I said, kind of do's, don'ts, lessons you learned along the way doing what I would say was a wholeheartedly DIY wedding. So I'm going to start with a really brief thing because one of the things you made sure to line item in your budget was for a day of coordinator. So can you speak to that? Because I was very lucky to be there, but that was one thing you didn't cut out, and that is something very commonly cut out.
Yeah, I think we realized pretty quickly that we were in over our heads and we needed some help from a professional because we really had no idea what we were doing. We didn't even know what a wedding timeline was. So, and I knew you from social media and we met in person before, so I immediately thought of you and I was like, I think we need Kate's help.
Perfect. Well, hey, that speaks to the value. So I appreciate that very much. Let's get into everything else. So tell me all about the wedding. Obviously, I was there and experienced it, but paint a picture for some of our guests or some of our listeners here. What was it like? What were your goals? What was the message you were sending? It was essentially a Wisconsin, California mix. So it was a very fun group of people.
Yeah.
Well, anything about what your goals were? Because it was definitely boho. We had pampas grass for days. It was beautiful.
Yeah, definitely boho. You got that right. Boho farm vibe. Lots of neutral colors. We did a lot of things untraditional, but we still had a pretty big wedding. We had 120 people. So it was DIY, but definitely still a lot of, I don't know, formal elements.
Mm-hmm.
It was at my dad's venue, at my dad's house, which he has 38 acres. So a lot of the setup, like a dance floor, was bought on Amazon. We had to call, local companies for chairs, tables. We were running around on the wedding day, grabbing family members to set up chairs. Kate was running around, sweating quite a bit, trying to get everything all set up. So it was very it was a lot of work.
Yeah, we had to get our own bathrooms. We had to do really everything ourselves. So
I know it's funny because your wedding was my second personal property wedding, and the first one I did, I remember when I was going through it, and 16-hour day. It was up north, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much you don't necessarily think about. So that's what I really liked being able to have for yours, but no one realizes how much work it is to have it on personal property versus a venue where you have the chairs, the tables, the tablecloths. is it heated if you need it heated? We did not need it heated on that 80-degree
Mhm.
day in
Yep.
September, which was a wild card, but it worked out. So was it harder than you thought? Did you think you could throw it together and then you know, 911 CBK, or what was it?
It was a lot harder than we thought. There were a lot of small details. Something new would come up every day, and we were like, "Oh shit, we didn't think about that. Now what do we do?" Like, I don't know, but it was a lot more work than we were anticipating. Do you think
Okay.
so too?
Yeah, I would say an example. I would say like 2 weeks leading up to the wedding, we were, ordering the alcohol, and we had our meeting with UK's, and we went over like the bartending like items they would need, and we were like, oh wow, we actually do need like a shaker to make drinks, or we actually do need these, random
Mhm.
bar items that we most likely would have forgotten. And it's like a lot of very small details, a lot of, as you said, decision fatigue. I think
Yes.
I think we hit a point of that. So a
Mhm.
lot of just got to make a decision and move on. So type of
Mhm. Okay. Yeah. And for background, everyone, they brought in just some kind of almost freelance bartenders, I guess I would say, who kind of lived in the area. So you didn't have like a bar company coming in and saying, we have everything. And even when I've had caterers come in just for bar, they still need a lot of things. And you don't think about the liquor bottle stoppers and like different things like that that come up. So that was one thing where you needed to purchase that much more because they were coming in with a good personality and work ethic, you know, but like nothing else, right? And they were wonderful. We actually had a lot of fun. So thank you for answering that portion. So you did it quickly. It was a very quick planning process, engaged in April, married by September 30th. Do you recommend that timeline to people, or do you think you need more time? You would have liked more time?
Um, I feel like there's pros and cons. It would have been nice to have another month or two for sure. At the same time, it was nice to just get it done and sometimes be able to just make decisions quickly and move on.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. Yeah, that's totally fair. And it's fun. It's interesting though, because, you know, a lot of what I see is about 18 months, which I would say you need, like, usually you both made it work, and you worked very hard at it, but it was not a walk in the park. And I'm so glad that, you know, I was there to help you with it, because like you said, he's like, I think even in your Google review, you're like, she just brought up things we didn't even think about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When I define DIY, one of the things that I think is important is you're not necessarily crafting and hot gluing shit. Like, this could be more of a DIY in terms of you're bringing all of your decor, you own everything that's coming in. I see a lot less of that these days, but I'm not a planner who's afraid to come in and do that. Some are. So when I say DIY, I mean where you pretty much own most of the decor or flowers. And you have a controversial opinion about flowers a little bit, Allie. So I'd love to hear that.
Yeah. So when we were planning and decorating and ordering 4 million things on Amazon, I was asking Colin about the flowers. And he said, I really don't care. If there's no flowers at the wedding at all, I don't care. And I was like, all right, well, then challenge accepted. So the only real flowers at the wedding was my bouquet, which I got from a local florist for $50. Everything else was faux flowers. So we had a lot of pampas grass, which was just from Amazon, and they're like faux eucalyptus and things. So I think we spent a total of like maybe $200 on flowers for the whole wedding. I don't think anyone missed them. I thought it looked really nice. It had that kind of rustic vibe still. So that I think saved us, thousands of dollars. I forget what the typical floral budget is,
Oh
but
yeah. I mean, for a wedding of your size, usually like around here when I'm speaking to Milwaukee, it's like at least 4 grand. I mean, it's and it's so funny because I had a florist once say to me who loves what she does, but she's like, it's kind of like lighting money on fire. And I'm like, I'm never gonna forget that you said that. And I actually work with her more because she was honest about it. And she's like, I love that I create this, but it lasts for 12 hours. And that's exactly how my job is. It lasts until it doesn't last anymore. And
yeah.
then you're like, well, what's next? So do you recommend that people go that route? Because Or even, you know what? We looked into those wood, what were they? Those one flowers. You didn't like them.
Oh, the Soul of Flowers. Yeah, I ordered a bouquet and I didn't like it. We used it for decor at the wedding, but I decided not to go that route. It just looked, I don't know, looked kind of off to me. But I think, I mean, I would do no flowers. You know, if flowers are your thing and that's something you want to spend money on, then I don't think you should skip it. Like,
Mhm.
there are certain things that, you know, we didn't cheap out on, but that wasn't something that was super important to us.
Mhm.
So I think
Right.
it depends what's a priority.
Okay, cool. And going into like just the workload, the sheer workload of it all. And again, you did it in compressed timelines, so that's something to keep in perspective. But how much, if you were to say how much per hour you worked on this, or like I I say all of this so that people are aware when they choose to do a wedding of this style, it's going to be that much more work. And when they choose to do a personal property wedding of this style, that amplifies everything. Do you think you did a couple hours of wedding planning a week? I mean, I know you met with me. We did like a 30-day package, but how much of it did it consume your lives, I guess, is kind of what my question is.
What would you say?
Colin.
I would say definitely leading up within the last 2 months of the wedding. I
Hmm.
would say it was probably, I mean, I would say probably 5 hours a week.
Yeah, the month before was the craziest for sure.
And
Mhm.
then, I mean, also, if depend where your venue is, if you have it at personal property, I mean, you have the whole venue to actually like look nice.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that's the week, week leading up to that. I mean, you got to make sure you got to coordinate everybody to help out with mowing the lawn, like
Hmm.
parking. So I'd say like the last week leading up to is probably like a good,
Part-time job.
it's a
Full-time
part-time job.
Yeah, for Colin for sure. I mean, he would be gone a few days a week just setting stuff up.
job. Right. Yeah, absolutely. And then you were dealing with some different elements too. So you had an outdoor wedding and I overall it was a little warm, but definitely lucked out with the weather. I would say because late September, for anyone who's listening in Wisconsin, I mean, it could snow. It could be 80 degrees like it was, or it could be like 50 and raining and you just want to be in a blanket
Mhm.
watching Netflix. So, what were some of your obstacles too? Just going a little more into the personal property side for people who are curious. What obstacles, like I'm thinking we had two different terrains we were dealing with. We had some gravel, we had grass. Like, how did you address that? I know your dance floor. I'm gonna let you take it away though.
As far as the terrain, we did something kind of fun. We told people that they should wear cowboy boots. So that kind of went with our theme. There were a lot of concerns about people's heels getting stuck in the dirt. So we tried to warn people ahead of time for that. Um,
There's also there's also some preparation with like having a backup um tents on order,
mhm.
backup
Yes, I remember that conversation.
um like backup heaters, which we actually never did. We just took the chance.
Mhm. Mhm.
um I would yeah, there's a lot like whether it could be like you said 80 degrees or 30 and rainy. So I would say, I mean, we took the chance and I don't think we regretted that versus ordering an extra $1,000 worth of stuff.
Right. Yeah. Well, and something else that was to your advantage was where you had your wedding. So it was Jefferson County, right?
Mhm.
So people are, I would say, from having done most of my portfolio downtown Milwaukee, they're a lot more flexible. Like you can put
Yeah.
a tent on hold and not have to put, your firstborn down as a deposit. You'll be okay. So I think that was something that I really, really enjoyed about your wedding was how flexible everyone was. And, Milwaukee, I work with Milwaukee vendors all the time, but the flexibility is not there. And there's a lot of reasons for that. What part of that was good and bad with the flexibility of the venue? Did that so we talked about how much work it was, just even, okay, people need a place to go to the bathroom, they need chairs, they need to be able to sit down, there needs to be an aisle, we need to create all of these things, right? So what element of that would you say, you know, just the flexibility, was it too flexible to be able to have your own space, or was it just enough so then you could start getting ready earlier that week? Because you really hit the ground running that week, right?
Yeah, the setup started few days before.
Yeah, and I mean, part of this, I think, with like the vendors, I would say Facebook community groups are your friend.
Hmm.
We got a lot of really good recommendations of companies based like we have a Jefferson community group.
Mm-hmm.
We found almost all our vendors, including our bartenders,
Yeah, all in the
Yeah.
face.
Facebook groups. So
Mm-hmm.
as easy as it was to just Google these companies, or um, I would really recommend getting advice from, community groups for these vendors, so you're not overpaying or uh,
Mm-hmm. Okay. And you never went into like, I think for DIY decor, I shared one of the for sale groups with you, Allie, but you guys source locally, like you did not go into Wisconsin Brides and ask for a million recommendations, I don't think, right?
No, it was all pretty local. Like you said about the flexibility of the vendors, I think that was true. Also, we found that just not being in a big city, things seemed to be more affordable out here, which was nice. Just compared to other friends who were getting married, it seemed like our vendors were a lot less expensive, and which we didn't realize before talking to other people.
Oh yeah, definitely. Your DJ sticks out to me right away. Like there's a couple I can think of right away where I was like, wow, they did a really good job. Brought in all this lighting and then they cost, I want to say like a third of what I'm used to over here.
Yeah.
So, and they show up early. They're set up, they're professional, you know what I mean? So I think there's a lot of genuine care over there too. Like I wouldn't mind making my way back over there because I know they will work just as hard as I will and go the extra mile. So, okay, cool. What kind of support we I'm just gonna skip over this one, I think, because I said what kind of support, personal and professional, did you need to achieve this? And you just said your family was really all hands on deck. You obviously had me in your corner. Anything else in terms of like the support? I mean, I'm thinking more just like elbow grease, not necessarily financial, that you needed to do a personal property wedding that was more DIY style.
Um,
I would say actually don't ask. I would say actually, when it comes to planning, there's a lot of opinions, as with family members. So
Mhm.
I mean, personally, we just kind of, we didn't really ask family members like, oh, hey, like, what do you think of this? Or we
Mhm.
just kind of made our decision and went with it.
mhm.
They did help out, with like setting up. That was a lifesaver. But
Yep.
Mhm.
I mean, I would say when it comes to actual decisions, you just once you start involving people, they're just gonna want to have more input. I
That's
mean,
true.
Mhm.
I
I
guess it depends on the situation, but
No, it's always. Don't worry, it's always. I always see it. I see the strain that it puts on a couple too. So I think, it speaks a lot to you too that you were just like, this is what's happening because quite honestly, I a lot of people don't want to say that. And this is an off the cuff weird example because my parents like they're just like do whatever. We know you're
Mhm.
in the industry, like you're gonna do whatever. Like I don't think I have our wedding's in a couple months. I don't think I've been critiqued once because they're just like
Right.
she knows what's going on. She's gonna try to save us money where it goes, but that is not a common circumstance. And I
Right.
think those pressures are really important to bring up because I
Mhm.
have seen them weigh on people. And sometimes a lot of those pressures are like, you should have a welcome party. You should do this. Like, you guys did a welcome party, but you're like, okay, we ran out of beer. Everyone leave. Like, I thought that was the perfect approach to it too. I mean, because you had people over for like apps and stuff and called it a day. No
Yeah,
rehearsal.
like we don't really want to serve a full dinner, so let's just get some appetizers
Yeah,
from
we're
a
doing
couple.
that tomorrow night. So
Oh, nice.
exactly. Okay. 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 Perfect. So, is there anything you would change about your wedding, about the choices you made? Anything?
Um,
so one question I would say, maybe changing the topic a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, we had no wedding party,
Mm-hmm.
and people were, I guess, asked. a decent amount. Like, do you wish you had a wedding party? But like all in all, I think it actually reduced a lot of stress.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
was kind of against that at first, but it gets rid of a lot of the drama. And I mean, there's other ways to honor your friends, whether that be, getting ready the day of, or, you know, bachelor bachelorette parties. In your speech that you give, you can honor, shout out to your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So that's one thing that we did that did eliminate a lot of stress.
Yeah, stress,
So
and also I think it saved us a lot of money because we didn't have to like buy bouquets or do hair and makeup for them or, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Does anyone give you shit about that? Did anyone say, what are you doing?
no, not
No?
really.
Wow. Not to you, at least. No, I'm kidding. I get it. I'm seeing more, like, I'm seeing smaller wedding parties and
Mhm.
I'm seeing no wedding parties. Like, I would say I have one later this year that it's no wedding party, just party vibe. We're having fun. We're gonna have a taco buffet. I'm like, sure, sign me up. It sounds great. And then I have one wedding next year where they're doing 3 people. The traditional numbers, I would say, if I were to guess off based off all the weddings I've done, it's like 6 to 8 people. Like you
Okay.
said, that's a lot of people. That is opinions too. That is more
Oh, yeah,
opinion.
that's
So I'm not going to 27 dresses you and give you a horrible dress to wear. Like I chose one that I was hoping they'd be able to wear one more time. And if they didn't, they spent $100 on that and 50 bucks on tailoring, and they were good. But that's nice. God, your family's, I mean, that's pretty nice that everyone was so respectful, because I did not expect you to answer that question that way. So amazing. Kudos to them.
yeah, there were some, opinions on other things, but the wedding party, no one really seemed to care. So
Right. Right. And if people were with you, like, and they were on your wedding morning, I mean, that's the most time you get with them anyways. You guys have been in wedding parties or been to weddings and you've seen,
yeah.
like, they're not always really together anyways. Okay, cool. Looking back, any advice, and this is outside of the DIY realm, what advice generally do you have someone planning a wedding? Making decisions quickly is something I've been hearing, kind of having a little bit of blinders on with opinions. What else in general with your registry or different things was helpful for you?
As far as a DIY wedding, let's see. We weren't super picky about our vendors, which I think was helpful in saving money and our short timeline. So we weren't really like set on what type of food we wanted. We just kind of asked for recommendations in this Facebook group and honestly went with what was most affordable, and they had really good recommendations. Um, and that was kind of the case for most of the wedding vendors that we found in the Facebook group. We didn't have our heart set on like one specific thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Um,
Open-minded. You're very
yes.
open-minded. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Anything else?
I would say, in a non-DIY perspective, I would say, I think it's pretty hard to like not get stressed out about the wedding planning, but
Mhm.
I think like the day of, everything comes together. And honestly, like if somebody doesn't, get there, everybody's gonna be happy just to be there, and they're gonna be drinking, and
Definitely
like
here.
they're gonna be with their friends. If something is not set up perfectly, or something doesn't go, your way, like nobody's gonna remember it. Like it's your wedding day, so just enjoy it. And I
Mhm.
mean, we had a great the day of. It seems like all that stress just kind of just went out the window
Yep.
after we got done setting up the chairs, sweating in 80 degrees.
That took a while. Oh, I can remember it. I can feel the heat.
Yeah.
But it was a good time. And one of the things, actually, now that you brought that up, the setup, the elements, everything, looking at everything you brought in, it's also important for like some of my listeners to understand that that probably could not happen at a downtown venue with the time constraints, because I got there. I mean, I think I got there at like 11 a.m., but like I had 5 full hours to set up, no one in my way. But that's usually I'm going from a church to then the venue, and I have like a 2-hour crunch time. It's just not as normal. So I guess this is more of a general PSA thing too. You have to think about when you're hiring your day of coordinator or your wedding planner, how much time that's going to take. If we were trying to do that in a downtown venue on Michigan or something, I would
Mhm.
need another person to do that because everything would shrink. So the flexibility is really great. Like these personal property weddings are not built in a day. Like they are a lot of work. And I know you guys did a lot leading up to it and the day before. So that was more of an aside because I
Yeah.
think about it in a couple different ways based off of the different places that I have done weddings.
Mm.
Cool. So I know you did a lot of decor resale. How did that go? Because first of all, did you use a lot of Facebook or Craigslist or garage sales to find your decor, or how did that go?
So I intended to, and then really just ended up buying everything on Amazon. I mean, like 90% of the wedding was from Amazon, no joke. Some
Oh,
stuff
the boxes. Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, we really didn't buy anything that was previously used. It just became too much of a hassle. I couldn't seem to find like good stuff that was local to us, and I didn't want to drive an hour.
Mhm.
And it was just easier and honestly not that much more expensive to buy it on Amazon.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah. Well, you had to think about the time too, that it would have taken you to go to thrift store, like you said, probably
right.
drive to Milwaukee or drive to Madison based on where you guys live. That would be your best bet because with CBK Vintage, I pick up this stuff all the time. But depending on where you are, and I've tried when I go on this workation to this like goat hobby farm I've sent you before. That's
Yeah.
when I like to go to, but like when I go to their thrift stores, it's a totally different story. So I think the time and energy too, or if people are gonna actually DIY, like we're talking spray painting shit, like
Mhm.
that is a totally, you guys did not do that. You decided you had your vision, you grouped it together, you had your centerpieces already done when I got there. So that element of it was kind of turnkey, if you will.
Mhm.
Sound right? Okay.
Yeah, there weren't a ton of like big DIY projects.
It was like, here's the labeled box. It was like music to my ears. It's beautiful symphony. Okay, perfect. So I guess, any other thoughts on a DIY wedding? You know, any takeaways, any things like do's or don'ts? I know we've talked through this a lot at this point, but any further thoughts reflecting on it? Because I know I'm taking you guys down memory lane a little bit right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say we've been talking about how much work it is, but I don't, we don't like regret it. We saved a lot of money and
Hmm.
it turned out great. You just got to know that there's the cost benefit analysis of paying more and doing less, or
Yeah.
doing more and paying less. But
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, actually, Allie, were you going to say something? Sorry, I think I cut you off.
No, you just have to know going into it that it is a ton of work.
And I'm not trying to deter people. I'm just trying to be honest because you
Yep.
guys were you showed up with a smile to all of our meetings when I would ask all the questions and you're like, God, why is she asking me this? I don't even want to think about this. Or following up, like, how's it going? But you were always so wonderful about that. But I knew it's a good thing. I think it's a little bit of a caution, but if you're willing to, if you have the time, if you have the support, you saved over 3 grand on flowers. Easy. You were able to resale, and I skipped over that question. So I don't know if you want to touch base. Was that a pain or was it easy?
We were able to resell, I think most of the big stuff. We bought a dance floor on Amazon actually, because we were looking into dance floor rentals and they were crazy expensive for things that didn't look very nice. We decided to order one on Amazon and I mean, it was kind of a piece of shit, but we got like half of our money back for that. And then, I mean, we got stuck with some stuff that people just didn't seem to want, like some of the smaller things, but for the most part, we resold a lot. I also actually kept a lot of things. Like when I was looking for wedding decor, I was thinking if it would look good in our house. So we have a lot of things like our big pampas grass vases that were on either side of our arch. Those are in our living room. We have a bunch of candles and stuff. So
Okay. Yeah, actually, I do remember watching your stories after you're like, oh, actually, I'm going to use this here. I'm going to use it there. And I'm doing the exact same thing with some, like this
nice.
one specifically that's going to hold my bouquet. Like I'm going to use it for like tulips in the spring. Like I already have, it's nice when you can have some repurpose attached to that expense. So that's good. Well, let's see. I think that's pretty much everything. I know in the beginning when I said that Allie is an influencer, that people's ears perked up. So I will put it in the show notes. Obviously, I know how to find you. Can you tell people how to find you, how to find your company? Maybe say a little bit, just a plug for yourself, because you're a small business owner like me.
Sure. Yeah, on Instagram, I'm Allie's Fashion Alley, so it's my name and then Fashion Alley, like the street. In my business, I do social media marketing for companies, large and small. Really everything related to digital marketing, I do.
Okay, cool. And when is the baby due again?
Late June.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you guys. Well, congratulations. Thank you so much for joining me. It was so nice to talk to you guys again. Like I feel like I'm back at your wedding day and I don't take days lightly. I love them so much. So good to see you guys. Again, congratulations. Keep in touch, but hopefully I'll see you in May. So
Yeah,
the rest of
yeah.
your day. We are so excited and thank you again.
Yeah, thanks for having us. So fun.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Thanks for listening. I'm thrilled that you joined us today. Feel free to check out CBK on Instagram at Celebrate by Kate, spelled CELEBRAIT, by, and my name Kate, KAIT, as well as various other online channels where we share our sparkle with the world. Thanks again for joining your wedding BFF. Cheers to your day, your way.